Welcome back. Every year, a jury of 13 photographers and photo editors gathers in a room in Amsterdam to look at pictures. The jury's job is to pick the best of the bunch and choose the winner of the prestigious World Press Photo Award. Set up back in 1955, the award is given to those men and women who have captured some of the most powerful and telling images of modern history. However, selecting just one photo out of nearly 81,000 submissions is not easy. The Listening Post's Meenakshi Ravi caught up with the award's traveling exhibition as it swung through London.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, the World Press Photos exhibition of 185 images certainly adds up to a book or two. Images taking us through 2007. Qassam rockets leaving Palestine, aiming for Israel. African guerrilla hunters returning from the kill. And a politician moments before her death. John Moore works for Getty Images. He could not have known when he took this photo of Pakistani politician Benazir Bhutto that just a few minutes later she would be assassinated. Associated Press photographer Lefteris Pitarakis is a friend of Moore's.
What he did is, he told me, he took a chair, he placed it right behind her, he jumped on it and took a quick picture. That was it, and it's an amazing picture because this is, let's say, a few minutes before she actually died. For many months, let's say, people have been telling her to avoid public places, but she defied all this and went to Rawalpindi in this huge rally. And she went out and she spoke to people, and you know, a few moments later she lost her life.
And Moore was there when the bullets flew and the bomb went off.
John really risked his life. He was there and he snapped the picture as he was throwing himself on the ground from the effects of the explosion.
I turned around and heard 3 shots go off and saw her go down through the sunroof, and just at that moment, I raised my camera and started photographing with the high-speed motor drive, and that's how I was able to capture some of the explosion when it went off.
Many can argue that it's not a good picture at all. It's just a blur. You can't really see any details. You can't see really the effects. But what happened right now is the explosion milliseconds before, and we have a document of it, and it remains in history. And so for me, it's quite important.
An action shot to the most static shot possible. A headshot of then Russian President, now Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin.
If Putin got re-elected, we might use it as a very big head on the front page. And you kind of want to see all the pores and the hairs and whatever really closely. And it's that sort of forensic look at someone really that you want. You know, you can see right into the eyes, and it would give a very, very strong front page for us. It's kind of better than a straight mugshot really, because it's been shot in a certain way to give that kind of forensic look at his skin almost.
This exhibition holds 185 photographs, some of the most important images from the year gone by. But for the prize-winning photographer Tim Hetherington, the award has come with mixed feelings. Hetherington doesn't actually consider himself to be a photographer. He's more of a filmmaker and was on assignment in Afghanistan when he took the picture that won the World Press Photo Award. Can you talk to me about the day you took this photo?
I remember the day very well. There'd been a lot of fighting in the valley, and the Americans had been attacked several times in this outpost. And there was a feeling in the outpost that the insurgents were going to try and overrun. So it's interesting to make a picture that has a little bit of that feeling inside of it. I mean, in some ways I was afraid, and I think that that's conveyed into the picture. So for me, being in Afghanistan wasn't about covering the war per se. It was looking at these soldiers in particular. You know, how American foreign policy is essentially in Afghanistan being kind of prosecuted by young men between the ages of 18 and 23. And I wanted to get close to that and understand that.
But despite the undeniable power of his photos, Hetherington is skeptical about the value of still images in the age of video.
I'm primarily a witness and a storyteller, and I use images to do that, both the still and the moving image. I think the danger of still photography is that it gets reduced to illustration, or it gets kind of allowed to just be whatever's in the viewer's mind. Still images kind of get dislocated from the context. And so I think it's very important that the work is about narrative and that carries a story, and I try to do that with my work. It's therefore ironic that the World Press Photo chose one image to represent the entire competition. I don't know how I feel about that.
I strongly believe in the power of the still image because I think it can really convey the messages and communicate the message and take it further. And we see it now in our history that what we remember, let's say, from Vietnam are still pictures. What we remember from Second World War are still pictures. Even from what we remember or in our collective memory, the September 11 attacks or the following wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, we remember still pictures. For me, the power of a still image is much more stronger than anything else.
The winning photographs weren't all of death and destruction. It just seemed that way, a bit like the news business.
Well, it's obviously a fairly grim reflection of the world, isn't it? It's the world through a photojournalist's eye or journalist's eyes. And in some ways, bad news is good. Is good news for journalism. It's obviously a really good show to show the trouble spots of the world. But does it reflect the total world? I'm not sure. I think it's seen through the prism of journalism, the world through the prism of journalism.
More Global Village Voices now on Press Photography.
In my opinion, the most powerful photographs tend to address subjects of a more serious nature, things like war and human rights issues. I think the most effective photographers find a way to bring attention to those subjects without exploiting them. There's a fine line between highlighting the human element of a story through photography and inundating your audience with unnecessary, graphic, morbid images simply because they're shocking. To me, a truly great photo is, in fact, not sensational, but rather sensitive to both the subject and the audience without sacrificing its impact.
I think from the point of view of what makes a really great photograph, it depends on who's taking it and what message you're really trying to get across. From the point of view of news and all that's hitting our sort of televisions today, it's going to be very much about something which captures that moment, that news piece in time today. And I think that's very, very important. A little message that comes out of that photograph to you.
Finally, earlier we told you about all those bloggers ending up behind bars in various countries for practicing online journalism that their national authorities don't approve of. Well, nowhere is the political blogosphere more active than it is in Iran. They currently have 5 bloggers in jail in that country that we know about, including one accused of spying for Israel. Recently, a group of students from the Vancouver Film School in Canada celebrated what it calls the Iranian blogging revolution in a short film which is taking a lot of hits on the internet. It's a powerful political piece of animation, and it's our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time at The Listening Post.
Iran, like many nations, is defined in the world's eyes by its political leaders. But a country and its people are more than the narrow viewpoints of politicians. Iran was a monarchy ruled by a Shah until the 1979 revolution. The final Shah modernized Iran but also crushed any political opposition. The Islamic Revolution began with widespread strikes and demonstrations and was a time of tremendous hope. Sadly, one oppressive regime replaced another. Half of Iran's 70 million people are under the age of 25, a generation vocally opposed to the current regime. Speaking out brings punishment, so young Iranians embrace blogs to voice their thoughts and experience. Iran is the 3rd largest country of bloggers. In 2005, there were over 700,000 blogs with about 100,000 actively maintained. Blogs provide a safe place to write on forbidden topics, from politics to love, letting young people flirt, tell jokes, and arrange dates. The bloggers contradict perceptions promoted by their government. They speak out with wit, eloquence, and anger about the repression of women, the disgust with militant Islamists, and the need for change. Some brave bloggers even risk imprisonment by writing under their real names. Despite state opposition, the number of blogs continues to grow, offering a place where dreams and courage defeat fear. Iranian blogs are the true voice of the next generation. They are nothing less than a revolution within the revolution.